Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome, everyone, again to BNB Chain. So, here today, we are talking about the future of football. And the subtitle is KAKA's prediction Football, Web3, Sports, Metaverse, and the Future. So, my name is Gwendolyn. I'm the investment director at BNB Chain. And today, we have three guests. And I would love to introduce first Steve, marketing lead at BNB Chain. We have Xander, co-founder of TopGoal, which does officially license sports collectibles. And last but not least, of course, KAKA, one of the world's most famous footballers, and he is here with us today. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yes, that's your cue to say thank you. So, well, let's go a quick round the table, right? So maybe let's start with you, Steve, and just maybe a 1-2 liner about what you do and what your interest is in the topic today.
Yeah, so I'm here. I work with BNB Chain, the community focus on marketing. I'm two things. I'm a huge soccer fan, football fan. I'm also a tech geek. So I come into this space through my love for technology, and it's where you can bring your passions of sport and technology together. That's the perfect combination for me. So that's the value that I can bring today.
Awesome. Thank you, Steve. Xander.
I have been developing football games for over 9 years. So my career path is really simple. I only have one job. I never have a full-time job before. So I was developing Web2 games before, and now we develop TopGoal. That's the Web3 game. We also have NFTs and top manager games.
And Xander, do you play football or watch football?
Yes.
Okay, of course. And KAKA, please, a lot of people know you, you're world famous, but out of so many other descriptions of you, football of the year, many times over, you've won many different, you've played at different teams, long career, but I would love for you to maybe in your one line, how would you like to introduce yourself to guests who maybe are not so familiar with football?
Yes, I'm a former professional football player, so I've been playing football for 17 years as a professional, and since 2017 I retired, and since then I started to study football. So it's almost 5 years that I've been studying because I love football and I wanted to understand a little bit more about other subjects through football. And since then I'm studying, and of course technology and how is the future of football, it's been part of these studies as well. So as I can describe, I'm a football lover.
Love it. Thank you so much. So maybe KAKA, to kind of continue on that journey of what you just said, right? For you, you started your career, you've had 17 years, but we really want to kind of know when and how do you first make up your mind to become a professional football player, and why?
I started playing football when I was 8 years old. So, and I played for fun, and I love it to play. I went to the club to play and just having fun with my friends. And I think it was around 15 when I decided to tell my parents that I would love to try to be a professional football player. So I had this conversation with my parents, and I said to them, look, I want to try. I know that I will keep studying, but my priority right now will be training and dedicate all the majority of the time to play football. And they said, it's okay, but you need to study. So I had training the morning, the afternoon, and I went to school in the evening. But it was when I was 15 years old.
I love that it was so supportive, right? That's definitely
Yes.
really awesome.
My parents, they were very supportive. They always tried to show me the sides. If you decide to be a football player, look, this is the good things that can happen, and this is the bad things, or the sacrifice that you need to make to be a football player. My father is an engineer, and he used it to use his example. If you want to be an engineer like me, so this is the good things that you have, but this is the sacrifice that you need to make to be a very good engineer. So they tried to balance that, and they said at the end, just try to find something that you love to do, and will be easier to sacrifice something for doing that.
Yeah, I love that because engineering and physics and all is always about trade-offs, right? You do one thing and then that's a trade-off. So different kind of risk and risk return reward, right? Awesome.
Right.
So since today is also about football and in combining, Web3, metaverses, so let's kind of take the conversation to Steve and Xander. So both of you have been in the Web3 industry for quite a while. Maybe let's kick off with Xander. So how, again, for you, maybe same thing, how do you decide to jump to Web3 industry? You've been developing sports games for the last 9 years, you said, right? So how to jump?
Yeah, that was in the April last year, because I was developing Web2 games, but I was a little bit conservative about Web3 games. So TopGoal is an application layer project in Web3. And if you do it either too early or too late, you will not survive. So I was monitoring the market and noticed the daily active users for gamified Web3 games has been growing really fast, all the way to over 1 million last year. So I felt that might be the right time to do so.
Very cool. So 1.5 years in, essentially, and how do you feel now? Now it's a down market, Xander.
I'm really excited because we are releasing our open beta test today. So that will be the first 3D gameplay games you can play in the browser for Web3 games.
And very cool. We'll see a short demo of that later, right?
Yeah, yes, of course.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Thanks, Xander. And Steve, for yourself, your journey into Web3.
Yeah, so I've always been a tech geek, and I've sort of been in this space since about 2017. And I've come to it. It's an opportunity that connects people in a much more different way, which is why I think it's super exciting. So if you take, soccer today, that, if you go to your local club, you support your local club or your local team. But, through Web3 technology and the opportunity it presents, you can connect in a much more realistic way as well, and a much more natural way to people at the other side of the world. And I think so that it really sort of creates an opportunity to bring people together in a way that's outside the physical realms of being in a stadium. So that's why I think it's really super exciting.
I love that you say that, because you're really talking about the global ability, right? Like with metaverses, you can see the avatars of someone else, but just in digital online world, you're able to partake in a conversation in the match live as well. So actually, let's stay with you, Steve. Right. So the World Cup is coming up. How excited are you? Do you have bets? Teams?
Well, because living here in the UK and living in London, and if you're an England fan, never to get too excited about a World Cup.
Wait, you have to explain to me. You have to explain to me that reference. I'm sorry.
Well, also, England have never won the World Cup since I've been born, so that gives you a reason why we're always a little bit. But we're incredibly optimistic about our chances, and then sometimes we get disappointed. But actually, the team's been playing very well recently in the Euro Championship, so I'm actually very, very interested. So I'm hoping that KAKA will tell us that England will be a favourite for the World Cup.
Well, KAKA, do you have thoughts there? If not, tell us more about. Yeah, please.
Yes, I think it's one of the teams that I think it will be favorites for this World Cup. Of course, I think Brazil as well, Argentina. France, of course, because also they won the last World Cup, and then, in my opinion, they have a very good team, very talented team. And England, what England showed in the last Europe, I think it was something that really special for the World Cup. And of course, we see that Premier League, it's how big and how nice is the Premier League right now, and this is the time for England to convert that for also the national team. So this is the question that probably in this World Cup we will see. But I think it's a very high level, very quality of the players. And so I think England, it's one of the favorites.
Very cool, Steve. I think that sounds. You have KAKA's endorsement at this point, like support.
I'll take it. I'm sure all England fans will be very grateful for that.
Exactly. And so Xander, what do you think? Are you watching the World Cup as well, Xander? I'm sure you have to, right? Yeah.
I became a football fan from 1998. Football that was only 10 years old, and in 2014 I went to Brazil to the Estádio do Maracanã and launched my first game. 8 years ago. I also went to the finals of 2018 World Cup in Moscow. And that has been over 4 years and a half. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Wait, Xander, at 8 years old, did you like beg your parents to bring you, or did your parents bring you like voluntarily, and then you fell in love with football?
I had my Pepsi Star card just at that time. I forgot where I got it, probably in McDonald's or KFC, some fast food where you buy some combo. They will give you a card. But every boy, yeah, at my age, had one of them, at least. Yeah, it's very occasional.
Interesting, very, very cool start to that. I think that shows, right? I mean, you started with kind of like a gaming collectible thing when you were young, and then now you're doing the same thing, essentially Web3, right? And we'll hear more about it shortly.
That's coincidence.
Yeah. But yeah, so let's kind of talk about the World Cup a little bit more, right? So this time, the World Cup Qatar is very, very special. It's the first time it's held in year end, right? December, rather than the June period. So Northern Hemisphere winter, so to speak, even though it'll be hot then in Qatar. So KAKA, for you, how does this change the game, right? So we're looking at the players. They've been playing like 2 games a week, since over the last few months, so we're seeing players being extremely tired. How do you think this affects the games and I guess the probabilities of the winning teams or not?
Well, I'm trying to be very positive about everything. So I can see that things that maybe there is too many games to arrive to the World Cup, but I think it's in the middle of the season. Most of the players will be sharper. They will be more fresh for the World Cup because they just had 6 months of their seasons, not the end of the season, which happens every World Cup. So for me, the quality of the game will be better because of that. Also because of the weather, it's not so hot, not too cold, so there is a very good temperature. So everything will be very good. The fact that every game will happen in the same city or very close, that gives the time to the players to recuperate for the next game better. So after the game, they don't need to travel. They don't need to go to take planes and get some logistics to change. That it's some details, but in the World Cup, that it's very high quality of the game. Every detail counts. So this type of details, in my opinion, will help the quality of the game. So we are gonna see, in my opinion, a very, very high quality of games, technique, tactics, physically. The players will be ready to perform the best way.
Yeah, I mean, at such levels, every little minute details, it compounds, right? Be it a positive, compounding or negative compounding, right? Yeah, so I see your point. Very cool. Okay, so, so with World Cup coming out, we've talked about it. And, when we look at now kind of, merging again, what Steve, you're kind of talking about, bringing people together online as well, right? So we all know that here, football as a sport is it the world's most popular sport? I think it is. I'm not sure, right? Without a doubt, right? I think. KAKA's like, yes. Yeah, I really think so. So, but yet now with Web3, we have the ability to bring even more global fans together. You don't necessarily, have to travel somewhere else to watch a game, even though the experience live is, again, amazing. I've watched a few myself. No, wait, I watched one myself live. And I couldn't really see the ball, where the ball was going. But the experience was really, really fun. Everyone cheering and all. But yeah, so kind of let's talk about what's happening in sports, in the Metaverse, in Web3. So when we look at that, the Web3 industry has been around for several years now, depending on where you're counting its start. But really, we look at NFTs and MetaFi. So MetaFi, for those of you who are coming in and learning about the space, is a word that really kind of describes what's happening now in where we're seeing Web3. So over the last kind of 2 years or so, we've seen DeFi summer, right? So decentralized finance. That was the first kind of wave of applications that really kind of took, it really showed the potential of Web3. Then we have a non-fungible tokens, so NFTs. So that's, what Xander is doing with TopGoal. And we have games and with metaverses, right? So we're seeing a lot of things come together. And one category, is sports, right? We've been seeing a lot of different companies and projects doing sports collectibles like TopGoal again. And it's interesting because you're really bringing together interest that's a huge interest for many people and bringing them online and bringing them into Web3. So when you look at clubs like Man U, they announced a partnership with Tezos to introduce its fans to Web3. Binance launched fan tokens in partnership with several clubs. AC Milan, so KAKA, your previous team, right? Launched its fan token as well, ACM. That enables fans to have a stake in the decision-making process and stuff like that. So all of that it's amazing. Right, but I would love to kind of understand now, maybe from you, Steve, right? Because you've also kind of seen the breadth of what's happening with BNB Chain, but also elsewhere. In your opinion, how can BNB Chain really empower the football community? And perhaps, at BNB Chain, we always say, let's get 1 billion users to crypto, right? So how can we perhaps convert more football fans to be part of the next billion users?
Yeah, no, definitely. And I think it's such a fascinating time to be involved in football and Web3 because previously, I maybe could have watched Milan play. I'm based here in the UK. I could have watched Milan on television here in the UK, but I couldn't really be involved in the club. I couldn't really be involved in the supporters, as it were, unless I traveled to Milan to see the game or they played near where I came from. But what Web3 does, it turns you in from being a fan of a club to being part of the club. I can, if I have a fan token, can I vote on the music that the team will run out to? Can I, vote on, the color of the shirts they will wear? Can I vote on who will be player of the match? And you then become much more involved because we do see on television Barcelona, Real Madrid, of course, PSG, but all my friends now, all my friends, children's friends, they can be fans of international clubs as much as they are as their local club because they're much closer to it. So I really believe this opportunity for Web3 to turn you from just being a fan to actually being a member of the club, I think is really important because I know although these are very big international clubs, they're still clubs in their own right, and they have members and they have people who are so passionate about them. And I feel broadening that horizon of people is one of the best things that we can do. It helps me become much more inclusively involved, and I think that's really special.
Love that, Steve. And Xander, you're doing your part in enabling the vision that Steve kind of mentioned happen, right? Tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, I think sports metaphor is already happening. And the first and most important thing to be changed is we call match day experience. So Gwen just mentioned you have attended only one football match and you couldn't find the ball. The reason is you are sitting too far away from the ball, right? So on a match day, using a VR device and AR broadcast technology, the fans can have a better experience than watching TV at home or going to a bar or sitting too far. Yes. After you put your glass on, you can choose wherever you want to sit. Maybe in a certain stand, in the commentator's seats where you can see the game more clearly, or you can watch the game from the position possible, like from the coach seat. You can invite family and friends to a virtual box, as if you are sitting together, but actually you are 10,000 miles away. So you can go to a public channel and listen to the crowd of thousands of people, and even louder than being in the center of the square. And this could be revolutionary for 99% of the fans who are not able to attend the match and they don't have a ticket. But it's already happening. Yeah. And besides the match day experience, Metaverse will improve people's everyday experience too. The fans can create their own 3D avatar, which can talk and walk in the virtual world like a real human. They can show up to activities without physically being there. It can be a virtual club open day, a virtual museum tour, news release, welcoming a new transferred player, or even a New Year celebration, something like that. So we can quickly check out one of the virtual fans we create. Would you mind play the video? Yes. We are using the real-time rendering engine and the cloud game services so that people can see it in the browser in your phone. So with the front camera, your facial expressions can be mapped into your avatar simultaneously. So hopefully we can see out of this maybe by the next World Cup, which will be held in the US and Canada, or the next one, but it will happen for sure.
Very cool. Yeah, Xander, I love how you describe all of that. For me, definitely, watching that game live with that, being able to see the ball, I think it would have definitely added to the experience. But Kaka, what do you think? Hearing the possibilities, of what Xander kind of talked about, what Steve kind of also introduced. Can you imagine this future of football in Web3? Does it make sense to you as someone who's literally, again, one of the world's most famous footballers?
Yes, I think for the future of the football, I think yes, because now we are seeing how can we engage the fans in a different way. And with the globalization of football, we have a lot of Brazilian football fans supporting a Premier League team. How they can be involved with their team from Brazil? Maybe a lot of them, they don't have a chance to go to England and watch a football game there and have this contact with the players and be, that emotions to belong for something. So the technology, I think, will give to those supporters this kind of opportunity. And as a consequence, it's a new type of revenue for the clubs. So I think the clubs needs to think about that as well. So of course, this is not our priority. Our priority is grow our brand, increasing that global, and bring more fans to our club. But of course, that ends to a consequence to have more money and revenue for the club. So then can we invest in that? So I see the technology going in that direction. The VR opportunity to watch a game and sit on your couch, just put your VR and feels that you on the field with the players will be a very different way to watch a game. And it's really important for us to understand the new consumer. I have a 14 years old boy, Luca, and he consumes football completely different than myself. I can stay in the couch and watch a game for 90 minutes. Luca, no, he needs to talk with their friends. He needs to share things. They need to compare boots. They need to celebrate the goals the same way that the players does. And for me, no, I need to concentrate in the game. I need to understand the game. I want to see different things, but I need to understand this generation and how can I involve this generation in football. So when I put football in the industry of entertainment, I need to think about that, because when they decide to watch a film in the broadcasting or a streaming platform or watch a game, a football game needs to be very interesting as well to watch as a streaming TV show or film or series or something like that. So in my opinion, of course, football needs to go in that direction as well.
Oh, interesting. You're almost saying that the younger generation might not watch football for the sake of like really loving the sport, but almost like between a new movie coming out, right, on streaming versus football, which one is more entertaining, as you said? That's interesting. Okay. Go ahead,
Yeah, I think it's
Steve.
interesting, as Kaka was saying there. I think what I find fascinating is when I was watching football, I said I supported my local team, and I didn't think about supporting Bayern Munich or Paris Saint-Germain or Boca Juniors. But now, 14-year-old children that I know, yeah, they are as much fans of Ibrahimovic and the LA Galaxy as they are of their local team. And so that's that globalization of sport was really interesting. And I think what Kaka said, that it's entertainment, it's sport and entertainment, I think is really everything around that. It's the buzz, it's the pre-game, the after game, what's happening during the game as well. I think it's really much more of an entertainment than ever has been. And I think this is where Web3 really plays into that opportunity. And also, just to pick up on Kaka's point about revenue for clubs, I think while not a main driver, we know that the sponsorship model around clubs is very important. These offer revenue streams for clubs. And I think that's very important for sustainability of football. And I hope that money comes into football and trickles down again into the lower leagues or youth teams or women's soccer, some of these emerging elements of sport as well. Because I think that's a big opportunity to, engage more people in football.
I mean, actually, the football industry already makes a lot of money, right? But I think now it's like the globalization of, again, being able to just involve more people, the different aspects. And I mean, of course, as I mean, I joke about it, right? Making a lot of money, but ultimately, yes, you're always thinking about sustainability of the sport, of the industry, and having more ways, diversified revenue streams, like, NFT jerseys might be interesting, right? So Kaka, maybe back at you again, right? So again, you're a football legend, super respected celebrity, with your humanitarian work that you also do, like 100 million fans and counting, right? Well, how do you see, like, other potential NFT use cases in the football industry?
Again, I think it's a very good opportunity, and also I think it's right now it's more like an education to educate the fans. What is NFT? What is the opportunity that they have in NFT? What is the risk that they have in NFT? So I love investment. So this is something that I won't say hobby, but it's something that I love to do. And this is part of the future as well. But I need to understand better what is it. Then I can take advantage in the very good way of that. So as we said about the globalization, so maybe a fan in China, in Japan, Indonesia, India, they can buy one special jersey for me, virtual. So they feel very part of my history. So again, this is very interesting thing that can connect myself to my fans and to the football supporters. So of course, again, I think that's a very good way to connect people around the world through football. That's something that I love.
Love that. So let's talk about, when you just kind of zoom out, right? Timing, when you talk about investments, Kaka, right? Then you will know timing is very important, right? Startups and new projects, you could have launched, 20 years too early. Like I remember first looking at quote unquote VR, right? When it was in 1996, I surfed on the internet on my computer. I surfed onto a 3D virtual train station. And that was like 1996, right? And now we're seeing, kind of VR kind of evolve. We had at one point Second Life, if all of you remember that. And now we're seeing more metaverses come to play, right? So timing is kind of really everything, where you need many things to kind of come together, right? So again, at BNB Chain, we always talk about, again, 1 billion users. And, Steve, also you've addressed it slightly earlier, and of course, Kaka, you mentioned about kind of education that is needed, right? So kind of let's go to there. Like, when do we think is the right time, right? And, because there is a lot of security risks, Kaka, as you pointed out, right? So we'd love to kind of understand kind of a few of your thoughts. And maybe we can start with you, Steve, right? How do you think, when do you think we can really, really get the mass crypto adoption? And perhaps then not just mass crypto adoption, but let's bring it down to football, right? When might it really, really see mass crypto adoption in football?
Yeah, definitely. So I think, I looked at the recent numbers. I think, current sort of crypto penetration globally is around 4%. That's sort of 300 million people. That sounds a lot, but I think it's still only a small percentage. And so, be right, timing is everything. But we are in a bear market today. But I think that presents an opportunity for sort of even clubs and developers. Let's start with, we talked about soccer clubs. They really should. Now's the right time for soccer clubs to be thinking about Web3 for sure. Many are already thinking about that. If you're a developer like Xander, I'm in awe of the work that Xander's done, because building a product like TopGoal in this moment is very important. So again, if you're a developer, you're looking for new business opportunities, you're still very early in crypto and blockchain. BNB Chain is, by far the biggest public chain, but it's only 2 years old. So there's plenty of time for you to be a developer and to build and be an entrepreneur in this space. There's absolutely no barrier to that. So I think now is the right time. And, as a fan, I can't give financial advice, so I don't want to say, now's too early or whatever. But, I think back to our previous point is, I think if you're interested in an area like soccer and you want to engage in fans and you want to become part of the club, this is a great way to do it, right? It's improving all the time. It's making it easier to connect with clubs and players and etc. So, you know, I think now's the right time, and I'm really looking forward to the World Cup. I think will take it to another level. I know lots of businesses and brands, developers will be doing lots of Metaverse work and lots of Web3 work. So I think, you know, that the World Cup coming up will be a real turning point for Web3 and football for sure.
Yeah, I want to add on as well, right? I mean, that precisely why, I mean, now it's crypto winter and it's one of the best times to build. So the builders out there, you know, really get your team together and start building now, because there's really much less noise, right? Because when it's summer, you know, people are more concerned about, oh my gosh, it went up like, you know, 3x, you know, should I sell, should I not sell? You know, people are a little bit more concerned about all those. And so now really is the time to build. So I encourage all of you to kind of build. And, you know, Steve, I'm so glad you addressed a different kind of, I guess, target audience, right? You mentioned football clubs thinking about getting the space now, and they should. Yeah, I think that's a good one. So Xander, let's kind of go to you, right? So again, you've been in the space for a year and a half right now in the Web3 space. What's TopGoal's plans, you know, in the over the next kind of 2 years? You know, what will we see with TopGoal?
Yeah, first we start from NFTs, because that was the most acceptable ways for the football fans, and that was relatively easy. So we have a lot of legends copy. And the second step, we have our manager game. So we call it the top manager, that if you have some NFTs for players, that is not enough. It's just for collectibles. That is not interesting enough. You can use all your legends to form a team. And you can use the team, you play as a manager, and you play against the other teams. And you can choose your formation, tactics, the squad, starting 11, the substitutions, and everything from that. And you can control some at critical moments. That will be interesting for fans, because what they choose to do can affect the final results. And there will be a league. If you have a higher ranking in the league, you can have more coins. You win. It means some coins that we have. So that's the second step. The third step is building what I mentioned is kind of a virtual club. You build your virtual stadium, you hire your virtual staff, and build a parallel football world at the end. Maybe we need 5 years or even longer to do so.
Xander, so you have current players, right? You don't have retired players like KAKA, right? In TopGoal.
Actually, we have 15 retired players. So,
is KAKA in?
Not in yet.
Oh no! soon.
Yeah, and we also have the license from Fifth Pro, which covers the professional players from 6 European top leagues and more than 40 national teams.
Very cool. Thank you for giving us a little bit of insight as to what we can expect from TopGoal soon. So KAKA, you know, kind of let's just wrapping up a little bit more, you know, back to the World Cup. Again, all of us here, a lot of people here are really looking at, you know, we're talking about the teams, looking at what's going to happen at this upcoming World Cup. What do you have to say, KAKA, which team do you support, and what will you say to the fans of the team?
Brazil.
Yeah, of course, right? Stupid question.
Well, I support Brazil, and I think Brazil it's ready for the World Cup. So it's been a long way for Brazil since we won the last World Cup in 2002. So it's 20 years, and I think this team, it's really strong team, strong group. They have a very good coach. Tite has been doing a very good job with the national team. We have top players. We have Neymar. So I think that it's a very good point for us. And in my opinion, Brazil, it's one of the favorites. And of course, I will support Brazil in this World Cup, and hoping that Brazil can win the World Cup.
Awesome. Cheering for you as well. Cheering for your team as well. For me, I don't watch enough to really, you know, and I'm from Singapore, but we don't have a team in the World Cup. So I can choose any other team.
Brazil, please.
Yes.
Steve will try to convince you to England, but please come to Brazil. Come with me to Brazil. Xander as well for you. Brazil, please.
That's an invitation for all of us to visit KAKA. So okay, cool. So maybe last question to Steve, right? So we've kind of looked at from KAKA's point of view, excited about the future of football. We look at what Xander is doing right now, creating the future of football and Web3. So Steve, we at BNB Chain, we're doing also a lot, right, to educate both developers, builders, as well as trying to get again to mass crypto adoption. So what's coming up for football and BNB Chain?
Yeah, definitely. So what we want to try and do is, I mean, one of the problems with Web3 is people often say it's hard to get into Web3. So what we're going to try and do, particularly using the World Cup, is start a campaign to get people more involved in Web3. That's what we want to do. So we have a number of campaigns. One is our Football Fiesta, which is going to be a really important campaign coming up in November. And then we have our NFT Glory Pass, which we're going to launch on the 1st of November. So these are going to be great opportunities where we've got lots of exciting activities coming on. People can win lots of money, some serious money to be won. I think there's a prize pool of nearly $500,000, which is exciting. And so it's a way that we hope that people who are interested in football can come and look into Web3, look at NFTs, look at the Football Fiesta, and start to get exposed to Web3. And I think that's really our opportunity. And I think then once people can connect with it and can engage with it and see it's exciting and there's interest there, then we feel that that's a good way in. So for me, it's very much important. We call it the on-ramp in this space, but it's very much, making it accessible to people, because Web3 can be complicated and we recognize that. And so that's really what we're going to do. So yes, look out for Football Fiesta and our NFT Glory Pass. They're going to be the two big activities we have planned.
Yeah, Steve, I love that you say that, because acknowledging that Web3 is difficult, complicated to even Web3 people sometimes. Web3 native people even make mistakes, right? Because we're just so early in the technology. So that's why, like KAKA as well said, right, education is very, very important. So I'm glad BNB Chain, we're doing all of that. So, right. So thank you everyone for watching this session on the future of football, where we had Steve, marketing lead and BNB Chain, Xander, co-founder of TopGoal, and KAKA, big football legend. So thank you so much all for watching. And next up, we'll see KAKA online in the Metaverse and visit KAKA in Brazil. We had an invitation. All right.
That's it.
Yes. Okay. Right. Thank you, everyone. See you.
Thanks, everyone.